The council ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Inside the command center, Ambassador Velther stood before the viewing screen with his forearms crossed. He was a Kryn, tall and covered in dark blue scales that shifted colors with his mood. Right now, they showed deep purple, which meant he was curious and a little worried. "This is the place?" he asked his science officer. "Yes, Ambassador. Third planet from the star. The locals call it Earth." Velther studied the blue and green world on the screen. It looked beautiful, but the data reports made him nervous. The planet was listed as a Class 9 death world. That meant it was one of the most dangerous places in the known galaxy. High gravity, violent weather, aggressive wildlife, and diseases that could kill most known species in days. "An intelligent life evolved there?" Velther asked. "That is what our scout ships reported. They call themselves humans. The Council had found many species over the centuries. Most came from safe, quiet worlds. The few that came from dangerous planets were usually strong, aggressive, and covered in natural weapons." Velther expected the humans to be the same. Perhaps they would have claws or thick armor or poison glands. They would probably be warriors by nature, shaped by their terrible world into perfect killers. The ship moved closer to Earth. Velther watched as cities came into view. They were large and organized, but not heavily fortified. There were parks and gardens everywhere. He could see humans walking on the streets below, and they looked soft. No claws. No armor. No obvious weapons at all. "This cannot be right," Velther muttered. The humans had agreed to a meeting. Velther's shuttle landed at a place called the United Nations Building in a city named New York. When the doors opened, he stepped out carefully. The air was thick and heavy. The gravity pulled at him uncomfortably, and the sun felt too bright. This world was harsh, even for a short visit. A human woman waited for him at the entrance. She was small, barely reaching his chest, with dark hair pulled back in a simple style. She wore no armor, just a soft blue suit. Her skin was brown and smooth, without any protective scales or plates. She smiled at him, showing flat teeth meant for grinding plants, not tearing meat. "Ambassador Velther," she said, holding out her hand. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, xenobiology specialist. I'll be your guide today." Velther carefully touched her hand with one of his claws. The human gesture was called a handshake, his briefing had said. Her skin was warm and soft. How did such a fragile being survive on this nightmare world? "Thank you, Dr. Chen," he said. "I must admit, you are not what I expected." She laughed. The sound was light and musical. "I get that a lot. Please, come inside. I made tea." Tea. She made tea. Velther followed her through the building, trying to understand. The walls were decorated with paintings and photographs. He saw images of humans doing normal things, playing with small humans that must be their children, eating together, laughing. There were no battle scenes, no weapons displays, no victory monuments. Dr. Chun led him to a room with large windows overlooking a garden. Real plants grew outside, and Velther could see humans tending to them gently. Inside, a table was set with cups and a steaming pot. "Please, sit," Dr. Chun said. "The tea is chamomile. It's very mild and should be safe for your biology. We checked with your medical data." Velther sat down carefully. The chair was too small, but he managed. Dr. Chun poured the tea with steady hands and pushed a cup toward him. "You seem surprised by us," she said, still smiling. "I am," Velther admitted. "Your world is classified as extremely dangerous. We expected your species to reflect that. To be harder, more aggressive." Dr. Chun nodded slowly. "Yes, Earth is a difficult place. It tried to kill us for most of our evolution. The animals are dangerous, the weather is violent, and diseases are everywhere. But we learned something important along the way. What is that? We learned that being gentle was the only way to survive. Velther's scales shifted to orange, showing confusion. I do not understand. How does gentleness help you survive danger? Dr. Chun took a sip of her tea. Because the biggest danger on Earth wasn't the animals or the weather. It was us. Humans were the most dangerous thing on this planet for thousands of years. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. Wars, weapons, hatred. We were very good at killing. She said it so calmly, like she was discussing the weather. Velther leaned forward. What changed? He asked. We got tired of it, Dr. Chun said simply. About 1,000 years ago, we had a series of terrible wars. We built weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We poisoned our own air and water. We were so close to making ourselves extinct that it scared us badly enough to finally change. We decided, collectively, to try something different. We chose to be gentle with each other and with our world. And that worked. It took time. Generations. But yes, it worked. We put away our weapons. We learned to talk instead of fight. We started fixing the damage we had done to Earth. We sang to our plants, we rescued injured animals. We wrote stories and made art. We became gardeners instead of warriors. Velther looked at her carefully. Something in her words felt incomplete. But you still remember how to fight. It was not a question. Dr. Chun's smile faded just a little. Yes, she said quietly. We remember. We made ourselves forget nothing. Every human child learns our history, the good and the terrible parts. We keep our old weapons in museums. We study our past wars in schools. Not because we want to glorify them, but because we never want to forget what we are capable of. She rolled up her sleeve. Velther saw a long scar running down her arm, old and faded but clearly visible. This is from when I was young and stupid, she said. I was climbing a tree to rescue a bird with a broken wing. I fell and cut myself on a branch. It hurt badly, but I got the bird down safely. Every human you meet will have scars like this. We get them from living on this world, from helping each other, from refusing to give up on the things we love. Velther understood then. The scars were not from battle. They were from choosing to be gentle in a harsh world, over and over again, no matter how much it hurt. Your species is remarkable, he said. Dr. Chen's smile returned, full and warm. We're just trying our best. Would you like to see my greenhouse? I grow flowers from all over Earth. I think you would enjoy them. As Velther followed her out into the garden, he filed his first report to the council in his mind. Humans were not warriors. They were gardeners who had learned to be gentle. They posed no threat to anyone, but somewhere in the back of his mind, a small doubt whispered. Species did not simply forget how to be dangerous. They only chose not to be. And choice could always change. He pushed the thought away and focused on the beautiful flowers Dr. Chun was showing him. They were remarkable, just like the humans who grew them. Soft, gentle, and completely harmless. That is what he believed, at least for now. 3 cycles had passed since Deverell first visited Earth. In that time, he had grown fond of humans. They were kind, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in other species. They sent teachers to council worlds, sharing their knowledge of agriculture and medicine. They wrote beautiful music that many species enjoyed. They asked for nothing in return except friendship. Velther had even started calling Dr. Sarah Chen his friend. They exchanged messages regularly. She sent him pictures of her garden and asked about his family. He told her about his home world and his children. It was pleasant and peaceful. Then the Zara came. The first warning arrived during a council meeting. A scout ship had detected something at the edge of the galaxy, moving inward fast. The transmission was brief and filled with static. Swarm detected. Biological mass. consuming everything. Send help. Send. Then silence. The council sent ships to investigate. They found nothing. No planets, no stations, no ships. Everything in that sector was gone, consumed down to bare rock. In its place was a massive cloud of biological matter, moving and pulsing like a living thing. The Zarak swarm had arrived. The council had records of the Zarak from ancient times. They were a hive mind species that ate everything biological. Plants, animals, even other intelligent species. Nothing could reason with them because they had no individuals, only the hunger of the collective. They had been thought extinct for thousands of years, but they were back, and they were hungry. The council fleets moved to meet them. Velther watched the battle reports from his office. The news was bad from the start. The Zarak absorbed everything they touched. Council weapons damaged them, but the swarms simply ate the destroyed pieces and grew stronger. Biological weapons did nothing. The swarm adapted to everything within hours. World after world fell. The Dari, a peaceful species of artists, were consumed in 3 days. The Krell warrior clans, famous for their strength, lasted 2 weeks. The ancient moth libraries, containing knowledge from 100,000 years, burned as the swarm ate through them. 17 civilizations died in 2 months. The council's military commander gave the order Velther had been dreading. Evacuate. They could not win. The only choice was to run and hope the Zarak would eventually stop. Velther was put in charge of the refugee fleet. Billions of beings from hundreds of worlds needed to be moved to safety. It was chaos. Children crying, families separated. Entire cultures being loaded onto ships with whatever they could carry. Then, he looked at the star charts and felt his blood turn. Cold. Earth was directly in the swarm's path. Velther sent the fastest ship he had toward Earth. The message was simple and terrible. The Zarak are coming. We cannot stop them. Evacuate immediately. We will send ships for you. The human response came back within hours. Velther read it 3 times, certain he was misunderstanding. Thank you for the warning. We decline evacuation. We will stay and fight. Use the time we give you to save as many people as you can. Good luck. Velther's scales turned bright red with alarm. He immediately opened a direct channel to Earth. A human woman appeared on the screen, older, with gray hair and dark skin. She wore a military uniform with many medals. The nameplate said General Patricia Okonkwo. General, this is Ambassador Velther. I received your message. Please tell me I misunderstood it. You understood correctly, Ambassador, General Okonkwo said calmly. We are staying. You will all die, Velther said. The Zarak have destroyed 17 civilizations. They cannot be stopped. The Council's entire military could not stop them. We understand the situation, the general said. That is why we are fighting. Someone needs to slow them down. Give you time to evacuate more people. It should be us. Why? Velther felt desperate. These were his friends. Why sacrifice yourselves? General Okonkwo looked at him with steady eyes. Because when we chose to be gentle, we made one promise. We would always protect those who could not protect themselves. All those refugees you are saving, they need time. We can give them that time. But the cost, we know the cost, the general said. Her voice was sad but firm. We have always known the cost of our choices. Please, Ambassador, do not waste the time we are giving you. Save everyone you can. The transmission ended. Velther sat in silence for a long moment. Then he sent one more message to Dr. Chung. Sarah, please. Leave while you can. I cannot lose you. Her response came an hour later. It was a video message. She was in her greenhouse, surrounded by her plants. Her hands were shaking slightly. Dear Velther, she said. Thank you for being my friend. I need you to understand something. We tried very hard to bury a part of ourselves. For 1,000 years, we worked to be gentle, to be better. And we succeeded, mostly. But when we made that choice, we knew we might need to be what we were before, just one more time. If the universe needed us to be monsters to protect the innocent. She paused, touching a flower gently. I am so sorry you have to see this. Sorry that anyone has to see what humans become when gentleness is not enough. We are about to show you what we were, what we can still be when we have no other choice. It will be terrible. It will be efficient. It will work. And it will haunt us forever. Tears ran down her face. Tell the refugees we did this for them. Tell them that humanity chose this freely. And tell them we were gentle once, and we wish we could have stayed that way. The message ended. Velther watched as his long-range sensors began picking up activity from Earth. At first, he thought there was an error. The readings were impossible. Energy signatures were appearing everywhere on the planet. Massive structures were rising from beneath the oceans. Mountains were opening up to reveal hidden facilities. The orbital platforms that humans said were for collecting solar energy were changing, unfolding into configurations that made no sense for peaceful purposes. Then he understood. They were weapons. All of it. Hidden for 1,000 years. Buried and forgotten but not destroyed. The humans had kept their weapons, just in case they were ever needed again. And now they were waking up. The Zorak swarm entered the solar system 3 days later. It was enormous, blotting out the stars. It moved toward Earth like a living tsunami of hunger and death. The human fleet moved to meet it. They were not gardeners anymore. Velther watched the battlefields in horror. The weapons the humans used were beyond anything the Council possessed. They did not just fight the Zorak. They destroyed them with terrible precision. Ships that moved faster than thought. Weapons that turned matter into energy. Bombs that made pieces of space simply stop existing. The gentle humans, who cried at sad stories and rescued injured birds, were killing the Zorak by the millions, and they were winning. General Okonkwo appeared on the Council's emergency channel. We are holding the line, she said. Her face was tired but determined. Continue the evacuation. We will not let them pass. One of the Council members, a Trell ambassador, asked the question everyone was thinking. What are you? General Okonkwo looked directly at the camera. We are what we had to be. We are the monsters we promised ourselves we would never become again. And when this is over, we will have to live with that. But you will live. That is what matters. The channel closed. Velther looked at the refugee ships around him. Millions of beings, safe because humans had chosen to fight. Children who would grow up. Cultures that would survive. All because the gentlest species in the galaxy remembered how to be the most terrible. Doctor Chun's last words echoed in his mind. We were gentle once. And now, Velther feared, they might never be gentle again. The battle for Earth's solar system lasted 3 weeks. To Velther, watching from the refugee fleet, it felt like 3 lifetimes. The Zorak swarm had consumed 17 civilizations. It had eaten through the Council's best fleets like they were nothing. Every species that had tried to fight them had died. The swarm learned from every attack, adapted to every weapon, and grew stronger with each victory. But the Zorak had never met humans before. The first wave of the swarm hit Earth's outer defense grid on a Tuesday morning, Earth time. Velther was watching the sensor feeds when it happened. He expected to see Earth's defenses fall quickly, like every other world. Instead, he saw something that made his scales turn white with shock. The swarm just stopped existing. One moment, billions of Zorak organisms were rushing toward Earth. The next moment, a section of space simply turned bright white. And when the light faded, there was nothing there. Not debris, Not bodies, nothing. Just empty space where the swarm had been. What was that? Velthor asked his science officer. The officer checked her instruments 3 times before answering. They used antimatter. A lot of it. More than we thought any species could safely contain. They just erased that entire section of the swarm. The Zarak swarm paused. For the first time in the war, the hive mind seemed uncertain. Then it did what it always did. It adapted. The swarm split into smaller groups and came at Earth, from multiple directions at once. The humans were ready. Velthor watched as Earth's weapon systems came fully online. There were thousands of them, maybe millions. Defense platforms in orbit. Ships that moved faster than his sensors could track. Weapons that fired beams of pure energy. Missiles that split into smaller missiles that split again into clouds of micro-missiles, each one seeking a target with perfect accuracy. But the worst weapons were the ones he could not see. The humans used something they called nanophage swarms. Microscopic machines that ate through the Zarak at the molecular level, turning their biological mass into harmless dust. The Zarak tried to adapt, changing their cellular structure. The human machines adapted faster. It was not a battle. It was extermination. Dr. Chun had been right. This was terrible. This was efficient. And this was working. On the refugee ships, beings from hundreds of worlds watched the battlefields in stunned silence. The Krell warriors, who had fought the Zarak with honor and died bravely, stared at the screens in disbelief. The gentle humans, who had sent them teachers and musicians, were doing in days what the Krell could not do in weeks. How? A Krell commander asked Velthor. How are they so strong? Velthor thought about Dr. Chen's greenhouse, about the scars on her arm, about the human children learning their terrible history in schools, about a species that chose gentleness every single day, despite knowing exactly what they were capable of. They are not strong, Velthor said quietly. They are experienced. The Zarak swarm tried everything. It split into millions of tiny pieces and tried to slip through Earth's defenses. The humans had weapons that tracked individual organisms and killed them with laser precision. The swarm tried to overwhelm them with pure numbers, sending wave after wave. The humans had automated systems that never got tired, never made mistakes, never stopped killing. The swarm tried to learn human technology by absorbing destroyed ships. The humans had built their ships with self-destruct systems that triggered if the Zarak touched them. The swarm got nothing but explosions. On the 5th day, the Zarak tried a new strategy. They sent a massive wave toward Earth, but it was a feint. The real attack came from behind, through a section of space the humans had not heavily defended. It was a brilliant tactic. It should have worked. It did not work. The humans had predicted it. They had predicted everything. Because humans, Velthor realized with growing horror, did not just know how to fight. They knew how to wage war. Real war. Total war. The kind of war where you predicted your enemy's every move because you had made all those moves yourself, centuries ago, against each other. The hidden swarm ran straight into a trap. Human ships appeared from nowhere, using some kind of stealth technology the Council had never seen. They surrounded the swarm and activated something that made Velthor's blood freeze. They are igniting a star, his science officer whispered. Not Earth star. A small brown dwarf star at the edge of the system, barely more than a large planet. The humans had rigged it with equipment that forced it to go supernova. The explosion was small, as supernovas went, but it was directed, aimed. All that energy, all that death, focused on the hidden swarm like a spear of nuclear fire. When the light faded, that entire section of the Zarak was gone. The Council observers on the refugee ships were silent. Then someone started crying. Then others joined in. They were not crying from fear. They were crying from relief, and from horror at what it took to give them that relief. General Okonkwo appeared on the council channels every day with updates. She never smiled. She never celebrated their victories. She reported numbers in a flat, tired voice. Day 7. Enemy casualties. 3 billion organisms. Human casualties. 42 ships. 317 personnel. We are holding. Day 12. Enemy casualties. 18 billion organisms. Human casualties. 109 ships. 863 personnel. We are still holding. She looked older each time. They all did. The humans were winning, but Velther could see what it was costing them. Not in ships or personnel. In something deeper. In the part of themselves, they had worked so hard to bury. Sarah Chan sent him one more message on the 15th day. She was not in her greenhouse this time. She was in some kind of command center, screens and displays all around her. She wore a military uniform now. Her hands did not shake anymore. I commanded a fleet engagement today, she said. Her voice was empty, hollow. I was a xenobiologist. I studied life. I loved life. Today I gave orders that killed 17 million Zarak organisms. I did the calculations myself. I knew exactly what each order would do, how many would die, and I gave those orders anyway, because it was the most efficient way to protect the refugee fleet in Sector 7. She looked straight at the camera. Her eyes were hard. I am good at this, Velther. We all are. We spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other. We know every trick, every strategy, every way to make death come faster. And we hate that, we know it. We hate that we are good at it. But we are using it anyway, because the alternative is letting innocents die. She paused. When this is over, I do not know if I can go back to my greenhouse. I do not know if I can be gentle again after this. None of us do. But we will try. For now, though, we are what we need to be. And what we need to be is terrible. The message ended. On the 18th day, the Zorak swarm tried one final assault. Every remaining organism, all at once, directly at Earth. It was a desperate move, and the humans met it with everything they had. The battle lasted 6 hours. The space around Earth turned into a storm of light and fire. Weapons that should not exist destroyed life on a scale that should not be possible. The humans fought with precision, with efficiency, with a ruthless determination that the Zorak could not match, because the Zorak only knew hunger. But humans knew hate. They knew rage. They knew protective fury. And they knew how to channel all of that into perfect, terrible violence. When it was over, the Zorak swarm was broken. The survivors fled back beyond the galactic rim, their collective consciousness shattered for the first time in their existence. They had learned something new. They had learned fear. Earth's system was silent except for the debris. Human ships drifted among the wreckage, damaged but intact. The planet itself still turned, still green and blue and alive. General Okonkwo's final message to the council was brief. The line has held. The swarm is retreating. Begin your return. We will stand guard until you are safe. Then she closed the channel. Velther looked at the battle data. The humans had won. They had saved the galaxy. But as he looked at the numbers, at the terrible efficiency of human warfare, he understood something that chilled him. This was not humanity at their strongest. This was humanity holding back. Even now, even in total war, they had used only what was necessary. They had not enjoyed it. They had not gloried in it. They had simply done what needed to be done, and no more. What would they be capable of? Velther wondered if they ever stopped holding back. He decided he never wanted to find out. The war was over. The refugee fleets began their journey back to Council space. Velther stood on the bridge of his ship, watching Earth grow larger on the screen. The planet looked the same as it had before, blue and green and beautiful. But everything else had changed. The Council had called an emergency session. Every species wanted to thank humanity. They wanted to give medals, titles, territory, anything humans desired. The Krell offered to make humans their battle brothers. The Trell offered their most advanced technology. The Dalry, whose artists had nearly gone extinct, offered to write songs about human bravery for 10,000 years. General Okonkwo listened to all of it on the communication channel. Then she politely refused everything. "We did not fight for rewards," she said. "We fought because beings who could not protect themselves needed protection. That is all. We asked for nothing in return except to be left in peace." "But you saved us," a council member protested. "You saved everyone. You must let us honor you." "Honor us by living well," General Okonkwo said. "Honor us by rebuilding your worlds. Honor us by remembering the civilizations that were lost. That is all we ask." She closed the channel before anyone could argue. Velther's ship landed at the same United Nations building where he had first met Dr. Chun. But when he stepped out, the air felt different. The city was quieter. People walked the streets like they always had, but something was missing. The lightness. The easy joy. It was gone. Dr. Sarah Chun met him at the entrance. She wore civilian clothes again, not the military uniform. But she did not smile when she saw him. She just nodded and led him inside. They walked to her greenhouse in silence. The plants were still there, still green and growing. But they looked different somehow. Maybe it was just Velther's imagination, or maybe even the plants could feel the change in their keeper. Sarah sat on a bench and gestured for Velther to join her. He did, carefully fitting his larger body into the space. "Thank you for coming," Sarah said. Her voice was quiet. "I wanted to see you," Velther said, "to see if you were all right." Sarah laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "I am alive. We are all alive. That is more than the Zorak's other victims can say." She touched a flower, a red rose with soft petals. Her hands were steady now, but Velther remembered how they had shaken in her last message. "I killed so many of them," she said. "I sat in a command center and made calculations. Which attack vector would be most efficient? Which weapons would cause the most casualties? I did the math, Velther. I turned death into numbers and numbers into orders. And I was good at it." "You saved trillions of lives," Velther said gently. "I know." Sarah looked at him. Her eyes were tired. "I know I did the right thing. Every human who fought knows we did the right thing. But knowing does not make it easier. I am both now. The person who tends this garden and the person who burned worlds. I have to be both. We all do." She stood and walked to a section of the greenhouse Velther had not seen before. New flowers were growing there, strange varieties he did not recognize. "These are from the worlds the Zorak destroyed," Sarah explained. "Before the war, we had seed banks, genetic samples. We managed to save some species from the lost civilizations. We are growing them here. We will send them back when those worlds are rebuilt." She knelt down and touched one of the flowers, a small blue blossom. "This is a Dalry morning flower. They used to plant it at funerals. There are only 50 of these left in the entire galaxy. We saved them." Her voice broke slightly. "But we could not save the Dalry who knew how to sing to them. That knowledge is gone forever." Velther felt his throat tighten. "You did everything you could. Did we?" Sarah looked up at him. "We had all those weapons, Velther. For 1,000 years, we kept them hidden. We could have shared them with the Council. Could have helped you build defenses. Maybe the Zorak would never have gotten so far." Maybe those 17 civilizations would still exist. Or maybe the galaxy would have turned those weapons against itself, Velther said. Maybe humans were wise to keep them hidden. Sarah smiled sadly. Maybe. We will never know. That is the thing about choices. You only get to see the path you took, not the paths you did not. They walked back to the main section of the greenhouse. Outside the windows, Velther could see humans working in the gardens, planting new flowers. They moved slowly, carefully, like people learning an old skill they had forgotten. What happens now? Velther asked. We try to go back, Sarah said. We are decommissioning the weapons again, putting them back in storage, burying them like we did before. Some people say we should keep them active, stay ready. But most of us just want to forget they exist. Can you do that? Forget? No, Sarah said simply. We will never forget. Every human who fought will carry this for the rest of their lives. We will tell our children what we did. They will tell their children. The memory will never fade. But maybe that is good. Maybe we need to remember what we are capable of, so we never become that again unless we absolutely must. She led him to the door. Outside, the sun was setting over New York City. The sky turned orange and pink and purple, beautiful colors that did not care about war or death or the terrible things people could do. The Council wants to create something, Velther said. A new doctrine. The human doctrine. It says that in times of peace, humanity will be protected. That we will never ask you to fight again unless there is no other choice. That the galaxy owes you peace after what you sacrificed. That is kind, Sarah said. But we do not need protection. We just need to be left alone for a while. To heal. To try to be gentle again. Can you? Velther asked. After everything? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, and for the first time since he had arrived, it looked almost real. Every morning, I wake up and I come to this greenhouse. I water my plants. I check for pests. I talk to them like they can hear me. I choose, every single day, to be gentle. Before the war, gentleness was easy because it was all I knew. Now it is hard because I know what else I can be. But I choose it anyway. She touched the doorframe, her fingers tracing the wood grain. That is what humans do, Velther. We are not naturally gentle. Gentleness is not our default. It is something we choose, despite our nature. And yes, it is harder now. It hurts more. But we will choose it anyway, every day, for the rest of our lives. Because the alternative is being the monsters we were during the war. And we decided, 1,000 years ago, that we never wanted to be monsters again. But you could be, Velther said quietly. If you needed to. Sarah met his eyes. Yes, we could. And that knowledge will terrify the galaxy for a long time. Some species will fear us now. Some will want to be our allies because of our strength. Some will try to study us, to understand how we can be both gentle and terrible. What do you want them to understand? I want them to understand that strength without choice is just violence. But strength with choice, that is power. Real power. The power to be a monster and choose to be gentle instead. That is what humans are. That is what we will always be. Velther left Earth that evening. As his ship climbed into orbit, he looked down at the planet one last time. The cities were lighting up as night fell, millions of tiny lights against the darkness. Each light was a human, choosing to be gentle, choosing to garden and create and love, despite knowing what else they could do. He sent his final report to the Council. In it, he wrote about the battle, about the human weapons, about their terrible efficiency in war. But he ended with this. Humanity is not dangerous because they are strong. They are dangerous because they know exactly what they are capable of, and they choose not to do it. That choice, renewed every day by every human, is the most powerful force in the galaxy. We should not fear them. We should learn from them. 100 years later, Velthor was old. His scales had faded to a pale blue, and he moved slowly. But he still taught at the Council Academy, training young diplomats from all over the galaxy. One day, a young student asked him about the HFY War. Why were humans so terrifying? The student wanted to know. Velthor took the class to Earth, to the memorial garden that Sarah Chen had planted, still tended by humans who had not even been born during the war. Flowers from 17 dead civilizations grew there, alive and blooming. Because, Velthor said, touching a Dalry morning flower, they were gentle once, by choice. And when they had to set gentleness aside, they did so knowing exactly what they were losing. Then they picked it back up again, scars and all. That is not weakness. That is the strongest thing any species can do. The students looked at the garden, at the humans carefully tending the flowers. One student asked, will they ever have to fight again? Velthor thought about Sarah Chen, long dead now, but her greenhouse still maintained by humans who remembered her. He thought about the weapons still buried beneath Earth's surface, ready but unused. He thought about a species that chose gentleness every single day, despite everything. I hope not, Velthor said. For everyone's sake, I hope not. But if they did, he knew the galaxy would survive. Because humans, even in their terrible strength, would only do what was necessary. They would protect the innocent, hold the line, and then go back to their gardens. They were gentle once. They were gentle still. And they would remain gentle, as long as the galaxy let them be. That was the human way.